Hello, Hallowed Haven family. This is After Dawn, the show where we sit down and have a cup of coffee with the cast, crew, and creators behind Hallowed Haven Studios Productions. I'm Grizz, and I'll be alone on the mic today, but never fear, I have plenty of wonderful people to help me facilitate this show, and I'm really excited to introduce them. Today we're going to be talking about the finale of Wayfarer, episode 10, Mad Men. And it was a long episode, and a lot of stuff happened. And we weren't able to have an After Dawn of the episode before that, so it's going to be a lot of discussion. I'm bringing up a lot of things, so I hope you were all paying attention. I know I was trying to, but there was a lot of drama, a lot of excitement. But let's get right into it. I'm going to introduce the cast members first. We have the wonderful Aubrey.
Hello.
The serendipitous Scott.
Hi.
And the terrific Termite. I couldn't think of one for Aubrey.
Who locked me in this box? Why am I here?
I
did.
Anyway, toss of key. One. And we have the person who made this all happen, who created this wonderful world that you were all able to play in. We have Bloodied Porcelain, the storyteller of Wayfarer.
Hello.
Hello. I don't want to ask this, considering what you all went through for about 10 hours, but how y'all doing? How you feeling?
I'm doing great.
It's so good. So fine. Everything's fine. Nothing's wrong. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just happy to be here.
I feel discorporeal.
Yeah, you should. Definitely should. Kind of waving an arm through him. But just gonna ask BP a kind of a loaded question, but I feel like it's kind of necessary. Was it all or most of everything you'd hoped for?
It was everything I hoped for and more. It didn't turn out exactly like I thought it would in the end. I did not anticipate Aubrey ending up like ghouled and bloodbound and being whisked away by her Domitor, but Aubrey did Aubrey things, and that's just how that goes.
I was offered a devil's bargain and I took it.
You did. I knew going in when I first read over Isabel's character, Isabel's like history and character sheet. I knew there was always a chance that she'd kind of spiral into a dark place and end up another monster. But I really thought that we'd manage to get past.
Nope.
That we'd managed to get past that being like a real risk, because she had taken pains to like talk to her boys and make arrangements and whatnot. But then the dice did what the dice do, and Isobel made Isobel choices, and here we are.
Yeah, I know some members of Team Patty and Tav are pretty frustrated right now.
Only some?
It's me.
More than you. I happen to know that one of the hosts of the next season of After Dawn, Abomination Latte, is a huge fan of all of the boys and is deeply upset that none of the boys got their happy ending.
There's still a chance.
And then we also have other...
Oh, I was going to say, I had a full-on conversation with the voice and face of Loki, who happened to be quite upset about that situation. So just throwing it out there. Well, Team Patty and Tav are quite mad. Yeah.
I see he hasn't spoken to me at all about that, so I'll have to ask. We've been plotting for another show.
Mm.
But that is just one of the ending of the 4 hunters that we started with. We also have how Roseanne went.
That was
I mean, that turned out as well as it could have. I think the only thing that could have gone better is if Rosanna had made the choice to keep Tuafla where she was. and not let her go. But I don't think that Rosanna or Legacy would ever have been satisfied with that ending. So, you know, I think in the face of the Sophie's Choice that I put in front of her, Legacy picked the one with the most that would probably give her what she wanted and had the least amount of chance to blow back on her. And, you know, the dice were in her favor that time, so.
And not to speak of people who aren't here, but he's also not entirely here at the moment. There's the person who made that choice mostly almost all the way possible, Arthur, and how he went.
I was thrilled with that. I was thrilled with that.
I could hear it in your voice. Yeah, it's like, hey, buddy.
Here's the thing. I've talked to Scott about this. I love Scott as a player. I love Arthur as a character. He is all of my characters to some degree were tragic characters. But Arthur was really somebody out of Greek tragedy who just needed to come full circle. So I kind of knew from like season 1 that there was a pretty good chance that at some point Arthur was going to die. Because it was just the natural ending to his arc. So I was thrilled with it. I thought it was great. At least this way he died in a way that was meaningful. And didn't just get himself killed in a stupid fucking fight, like trying to deal with a vampire with little to no backup.
Already staked.
Yep.
There was this comment that you made about it being his drive since the beginning.
Yeah.
You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah. No.
The both of you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so his drive was atonement, and he was always sort of trying to, you know, correct the mistake that he allowed to happen both prior to the game starting and then like right at the beginning, where he didn't die in place of a person who died, right? Like he was supposed to die instead of Jillian, in his mind. And so the whole time he's always been putting himself in that situation. So it was sort of like inevitably it had to come to fruition because that was just going to be how he went no matter what. And had a whole conversation with that with Katie Lynn about that, with Clara about that situation. She finally had the realization right before or right after it happened that was actually literally where Arthur was headed the entire time from season 1 onward.
Pretty awesome. And of course, certainly not last, Piper, Termite. I asked you in, I think, the After Dawn before last or the last one. I'm not quite sure. Where you thought Piper's story was going to end, and you definitely thought, or at least like 60-40 kind of thing, that thought that Piper was going to die.
Yeah, I mean, I fully expected that things were gonna go in a direction where, yeah, she was gonna end dead because she put herself in a position where she just either couldn't get out alive or wouldn't be able to bring herself to make the decision that would result in out alive. But things changed quite significantly between the last time we talked and now.
And are you happy with how it ended, or are you excited to see what she does next?
I'm very excited to see if she gets involved in anything in the future.
The Great Body Heist of 2025. Just kidding.
This time we're stealing Isobel back.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a interesting potential for what happens next with the three of you. Perhaps whatever, I guess. Well, I actually don't remember the Tuatha's name off the top of my head.
Tuatha.
That's the name of it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Never mind. I had. This is what I mean, guys. A lot to retain over here. BP.
Yes.
What was it like stepping into Rin's headspace in that moment?
Ooh.
It was so I try to make my villains never think of themselves as the villain. So while there's a certain amount of it that was a little bit dark, it was mostly just because I knew from like an outside perspective, like why she had gotten the way that she was and where things were probably going to go. The hardest part of that whole session for me wasn't being in Rin's headspace. It was getting anybody in the room to make a move. Because I felt like if I forced the fight to happen, I'd be taking away player agency. But like Legacy didn't want to like Legacy was saying things like she wanted to quote unquote save her sister, but not behaving in a manner that would suggest that she actually wanted it. Like she was being really shitty the whole goddamn time. And I was just like, you're not making any progress in any direction. You're just standing still and stomping your feet. This is really frustrating because like a scene that probably really only needed about 20 minutes took like close to an hour because of everybody's worried and we want you to be better, and then like, you know, actively cussing at her and like rolling her eyes, which she asked for like the name that came along with her church with her vows of the cloth to be respected. So it was a whole thing. Rin was meant to be the dark mirror to where Arthur could go if Arthur kept up with his way of looking at himself and the hunt.
Yeah, he got real close a few times to getting.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Arthur towed the line pretty hard on being a full-on fucking zealot to the point where he had plans to like kill his cellmates.
He had the Batman contingency plan. Yep. Absolutely.
The Batman style contingency plan.
I think we talked about that close to the beginning of the season. Another Aphrodite. I'm just like, I mean, it sounds like you would just, you were like, oh yeah, you would. I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, his journals are full of, okay, I've got to kill this one, then this one, then this one, then myself. Okay, got it.
Yep.
Ooh, oh boy.
Yeah, no, Arthur looked at himself as the righteous hand of God. Rin not only looked at herself that way, but had the power to back it up. Because Rin had above 5 dots in true faith, or effectively had above 5 dots in true faith.
Well, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Rin was at the power point in true faith where you literally get to perform miracles. So she was convinced that God loved her and her cause was righteous, and anybody who disagreed was clearly, at the very least, misled or completely deluded. And she was meant to be a case study to hold up a mirror to Arthur and say, this is where you end up if you keep going the way that you are. Into the convinced that he was right and his cause was just, and you know, all monsters are just fucking monsters and they all need to be exterminated and nothing can be trusted. That's not human. So
are they not?
Well,
I swear to fucking God.
And that was the fun part as a listener too, because y'all were technically arguing, but her stance was that of, you can make a point, but unless you make a strong one, which no one really tried to because they didn't want to antagonize it, because as you said, you were just winning that argument most of the time.
Oh yeah. More than once I made a point and I watched Scott's face just go crestfallen because he realized he couldn't argue with her.
Right?
Yeah, I was like, oh buddy, just give him a back rub. No, come on, get back in there, champ.
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Well, I agree, but
here's the thing: is I think Rosanna could have made a point and actually made a good argument, but she didn't want to. It was obvious that Rosanna had made up her mind about what she wanted to happen, but she just didn't want to be the one to like push the envelope and actually make it the event unfold the way it was supposed to. I love the fact that in the initial scene before Bishop Thomas removed or got her out of the room, I love the fact that Piper was the most reasonable person there.
Yeah.
True.
Because a few weeks prior, Piper would have been the least reasonable person in the room.
Oh, yeah.
Character growth. I mean, once we took out that vampire, it's like a whole different Piper on the scene.
I was going to say that.
I think it was once we got rid of the curse.
Also,
too. Just a lot of growing in about 5 minutes.
A little bit of both.
Isobel just got stuck in gay baby jail for most of that episode.
Can we like retroactively rename an episode title, please? Episode 8, Stuck in Gay Baby Jail. As it were. No, you were able to keep a cool head. And when you saw where it was going, you're like, "No, I don't want any part of this," and got the fuck up out of that room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not fully through my choice.
Not. It wasn't entirely.
No, true. But like, yeah. Yeah, and then there was also the moment for you, Aubrey, and also Isobel. And also a great description from BP, just deep-seated, bone-chilling dread. Which I don't think we actually got to talk about what was going through your mind at that moment, but BP put it like, just, you just had to get the fuck up out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's that's a true faith power, and it basically takes your fight or flight instinct and turns off the fight part.
Yeah.
Right.
If you are supernatural, the only thing you could think of is getting away from the wielder of true faith. That's like a level 1 power.
Yeah. Glad she didn't use any of the higher level ones.
Right.
I was right in front of her superior, so...
We're just standing there, and Isobel just turns into dust right in front of us, and we're just like, But what
was going through your mind in that moment, Isobel's mind at that moment, that would even work in the first place?
I mean, honestly, Isobel just was like, okay, yeah, no, I'm dealing with this. I probably should be in the room for this because I'm not going to have anything good to say to this person. I'm not going to help our cause. So I went in there to make sure Rosanna was okay, and to offer any kind of medical support if needed. And yeah.
And then someone went, no, you supernatural, get the hell up out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And spinning right along until after that moment, the 2v1 that went in an unexpected direction, but also in a way that I think we all might have expected.
Yeah, it 100% makes sense.
Yeah. Scott.
Yo.
We talked about it. Because I was sitting there and I watched your facial expression when BP was like, hey man, hey, listen, this could all work out great for Rosanna, but only if you do this.
Mm-hmm.
Your immediate thoughts in that moment, other than, yes, this is it. Like, was there any doubt in your mind in the moment?
I mean, no, not really. Yeah. When it was presented, it was like, yeah, this is the conclusion. Like, it comes down to the choice of Rin or Rosanna, and of course, Arthur's going to choose Rosanna, like 100% of the time. But also, it really wouldn't have mattered if it was Rosanna or any of the cell members, because it goes back to the thing about how Arthur, in his mind, failed to sacrifice himself when he was supposed to, and has been trying to make up for that the entire time. Like, he was supposed to be the one who does the thing to kill the monster and sacrifice himself to do it, right? Like, he's the one that has to pull the trigger or set off the bomb. And in the case of the story, it was that the whole thing that happened was he was supposed to be the one to kill the werewolf, and he wasn't allowed to, right? It just didn't go down. Jillian made the choice for him and threw him back in the van and did the sacrifice. And so the whole time Arthur was always going to make the sacrifice. So in that moment, I was like, there's really no choice. Like, Arthur's got to make the sacrifice that will kill him, but save the rest, every member of his team that he can. Even if Rosanna or Termite or Piper or Isobel didn't matter. That was the choice.
Player.
Yes, had to save Termite the player through the screen.
That's right. Join Holiday Studios, and you get the interdimensional tabletop play. It's great.
But that's how it was. That's how it was from the beginning, right? Like, every time anyone in the cell was threatened, his immediate reaction was to like jump in and put himself between them and whatever it was that was threatening. So, yeah, no, it was like, no, I have to make this choice. I just have to.
Yeah, that was an awesome moment. Yeah, and me myself as a role player. The second the second BP was like, all right, everyone, everyone go deafen. I'm like, oh no, for real? Shit, that's no way you're saying no, but that's an awesome player moment. It was really well done, everybody.
You know, and having to be deafened, like, I think 2 or 3 times, I think, throughout the seasons. I mean, it was time for everyone else to be deafened. Come on.
Yeah, for sure.
It's my time to shine.
Listen, whenever there is an opportunity for a character to have a moment that others don't get to witness, and it's just the character and the people watching, I try to throw it to them. The thing is that Arthur has rarely had those moments, because Arthur is a hard on his sleeve, what you see is what you get kind of asshole. So he doesn't have a lot of big secrets. Everybody knows where Arthur stands. He hates the supernatural, and he's mad that his cell keep messing around with him.
That is true. And also, I'm pretty sure he told most of them, if not all of them, that he had contingency plans to take them out at some point. So, that's not even a secret.
But the sacrifice allowed for so much more to happen. What Rosanna ended up turning into. And also Katie Lynn rising up as a hunter.
Oh yeah. And Claire wanted that so bad.
Yeah, that was a discussion that happened back when Clara took over the role last season. Was, if Arthur ever dies, Katie Lynn is gonna give up on the wife and mother dream and become a hunter. So I knew as soon as Clara came on that eventually Katie Lynn was going to be a hunter. I just couldn't tell anybody, because I hadn't told anybody that I was pretty sure Arthur was just going to be dead by the end of the show. So.
But yeah, even in the off-screen private discussions between Katie Lynn and Arthur that we planned out stuff to bring into the show, there was always the thing. Claire's like, so she's going to be asking questions about hunting. I'm like, of course she is. Of course.
But what do you think Arthur would say if he knew
that she became a hunter?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he hates the supernatural so much that I think he would be fine with it.
Yeah, but there was also an angle you played up near the end of season 2 when you were just discussing everything with her that you didn't want her to have life.
Yeah, no, because it's a terrible life. Yeah, I don't know. That's actually that I have to really think about that, because I think.
Well, now listen, I want to
it's complicated.
After Dawn on the spot session. All right, no, okay, Scott, think about it. That's what we're here for. I'll give you a bit. But think about it. What do we say? Kind of sliding over to the people who are technically alive.
What the fuck you mean technically?
Well, one of you's a ghoul.
Alive. It's still alive.
I'm just saying.
By whose standards? And is that really living?
I mean, she still has a pulse and a heartbeat.
Okay, you know what? You're right. I'll take it back.
So by medical standards, she is still alive.
Absolutely. You got it, Doc. I'm sorry. So along with Katie Lynn coming to terms with everything that happened, we had it was a lot of talk and discussion, but also planning a funeral for Arthur, an Irish goodbye, as I think it was said.
Irish wake.
Thank you.
Irish goodbye is something very different.
Very different.
Yeah.
I would not know.
In fact, the Irish goodbye is what Arthur almost did to Rosanna. But then they had time to talk.
I immediately understand. The Irish wake, which did end up happening. But how did, for the two of you, how did we heard how you were handling it, but what was really going beyond your character's minds after like immediately finding out he had passed and leading up into the following weeks?
I think Isobel knew Arthur well enough that it was going to happen eventually. And of course he did it to save someone else, like the idiot he is.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just, you know.
Wait a minute.
Piper very much wishes she had to talk to him last time, just so she can call him a dumbass face.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a missed opportunity with Ghost Arthur.
Isobel walks to the room. Piper says, "You're a dumbass."
Just drunk Piper walking into the room. You're a fucking idiot.
But yeah, y'all family.
Yeah.
So was this accepting this is just the life of a hunter, or this was just that Arthur was always going to end up as?
Little column A, little column B.
Yeah,
Piper.
pretty much. It was like if we'd been around him long enough to understand if he can put himself between us and the monster, he will. And there's no fucking stopping that.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was like, Isobel just being like, well, if I was there, maybe I could have done something. Maybe I could have, because medical training and all that. But then it's just like, Isobel has been doing all of this for long enough to just being like, you can't get hung up on like what ifs.
Yeah. And end of the day, like, there's a very real chance we were all gonna die, and if one of us was gonna die first, probably gonna be Arthur.
Mm.
And to be totally fair to Piper, Arthur had the opportunity to leave the room when Piper did, and he chose to stay.
Because Arthur would not leave the room. Period.
Listen, Arthur's a hunter of the supernatural. There's nothing supernatural about Rin. You just didn't like her because she didn't like Rosanna.
True.
Had Rosanna not been in the picture and you met Rin any other time, I think Arthur would have been like, this chick knows what's up.
Yeah, they might have been friends if the circumstances were different.
Yup.
Honestly, every time I just hear, I was like, everything you said about Arthur, for me, the song "Simple Man" just starts playing, just gently in the background. With all the respect, but I think that's such a Arthur song. Like whatever your playlist has should have that on there. And then when all that got settled down, y'all had the time to think about what happened next, what was going to happen next. Time to go steal a body.
Yeah.
It's a great body heist to 2024.
Right, exactly.
Let's go. It went pretty well.
Yeah, all things considered.
Yeah.
It could have gone so much worse.
Yeah, 12 successes. Huzzah! What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like observing it from my vantage point. Like, I was impressed. I was like, Dice, way to be on the ball right when you needed to be.
My dice were really good for the first half and then struggled in that second half.
Gozer was the MVP.
Yes.
Gozer's always the MVP.
Gozer's always the MVP.
Well, I just the exasperation in BP's voice, like, I'm not gonna make Gozer roll for anything. He's being awesome over there. It's fine.
He got 11 successes on his first stealth roll.
He's good. He's a good boy.
Gozer's the best boy.
Yes,
Most of the time, no one had any idea where he was. He just was there, and then he wasn't there, and then he was there again.
Listen, Gozer has such a ridiculous die pull for stealth that I was just like, oh, yeah, no, we're yeah.
It's 11. It's 11 dice.
Like, his average is better than he needs. So.
Yep. Also, Gozer in a superhero cape. Merch idea. And there's kind of the devil's bargain that led into your ending, as we mentioned before, Aubrey. Yeah. I mean, that was honestly probably one of the most beautifully timed devil's bargains you could ever have, like genuinely.
Seriously.
Yeah. What will you do? What will you do?
That wasn't something I'd planned for.
No, I know. Yeah, you couldn't plan for that. It was just how the dice were going, but yeah.
But I do like that it was in a similar vein, like the decision that Isobel would make, right? Like that's sort of how it went down.
In the end, Isobel was committed and would do anything to free her sister. And in the end, it cost her more than she expected, but
it cost her Patty and Tav.
I think she can still come back.
Maybe.
Oh God, do I not have his name written down? Anyway, the vampire asshole.
Jace.
Thank you. I have Jason running around in my head. I'm like, no, it's shorter than that. Jace. He was he a vampire asshole? Sure, but how do you feel bad for him in a way, Aubrey?
Yeah, I mean, Isobel kind of foisted this on him. But in the end, it was like, I ended that with no willpower. And it was just like, Isobel is mentally compromised. She's not going to be thinking clearly or making good decisions, even before you count the blood bond into play.
Yeah. And also, God, I need water. Also, genuinely surprised that the two big boys didn't just kill him. That was really impressive.
They were reasonably certain that trying would have gotten Isobel killed.
Yeah.
And themselves, and possibly everybody else in the room, because things hadn't exactly gone well for everybody. So
that's true.
There wasn't a single person in that house other than the boys who had like all of their willpower. The boys recognized that they were in a compromised position. People forget the boys are like professionals. Hunters are just hunters. These guys have been fighting professionally for a lot longer than the hunters have been hunting. Yeah. They don't know a ton about vampires, but having been around Isobel for a year, they've learned enough to know when they're probably outmatched.
Plus tactical retreat, regrouping, planning, and reinitializing is definitely part of the strategy.
He promised to bring her back after everything is done, and I think they'll give him a couple of months, and if they don't hear anything, planning will start.
Yeah, then we'll see like a map of his house like on their desk, and etc.
Yeah, we're not waiting that long to start planning.
It's fair. Yeah,
that's when the plan goes into motion.
Yeah. I mean, Isobel took her phone with her, and I don't know what. BB and I will figure out what happens.
I mean, Piper also made the identity that, at least is using.
Yeah, it's just that
possibly
they are professionals, but love makes people do stupid things. So that's why I was impressed.
I mean, that's what doomed Isobel.
True.
I mean, love makes you do stupid things, but it can also provide perspective. Like, had it just been them and him, they might have taken the chance. But Isobel was right there.
No,
Caitlin,
I'm not disagreeing.
who was one of their best friends, was right there. Like, they're not putting everybody at risk to try and enact a random suicide mission at the last minute.
Like suicide dive out the window, knives drawn.
I mean, they know about the whole, the best time to fight a vampire is during the day.
Well, that and they're not Arthur, right? Like that would be an Arthur thing to do.
Like Arthur's ghost pops into existence, like, go get him, boy.
I mean, he was shaking his fist from beyond the veil for sure.
Yeah.
Was he or was he a coin in somebody's pocket?
Ooh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
No, he definitely ended up getting turned into a chair.
Oh.
What is it with HHS streams and people getting turned into chairs?
Too many Zamitzi.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm very interested to see like what happens with Isobel next. If I ever come back to play her as an SPC or something, I'm down for it. Because there are so many ways this can go.
You don't want to know it goes a lot of different ways? Spilling the tea, which is what we're going to step into right now, everyone. Here's another cup. Spilling the tea, you guys can ask each other questions. You can ask me questions. Everyone can ask everyone questions. It's an open forum to get all the information you want to get out or ask as much as you can. That was phrased horribly, but that's what I have. So, ask away, y'all.
Should we count to 3 before we all 3 ask?
Yeah, we should probably get a countdown.
Yeah, countdown.
All right. And
yeah.
3, 2, 1. What the fuck?
Hey, what the fuck?
BP.
Oh. Listen, if this isn't what you wanted, you shouldn't have given me characters that lean so hard into Greek tragedy themes. I don't know what you want from me.
Damn.
No, I mean, it 100% tracks.
You notice everybody went quiet because they know I'm right.
Yeah,
everybody at that table made a tragic character.
I mean, to be fair, you saw my application to the Changeling game.
I did.
I won't.
Your application to the Changeling game made me cry and then made me laugh.
I mean, if my camera's on, you all would see that face that I made when Arthur was listening to Rin make good points. Like,
yeah, well.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's 100%. We just have to say it to keep up the bit.
It's
a
true.
bit at this point.
It's so much of a bit that when Termite put in their application for my next game, in the last question where it says, is there anything you want to ask me? Termite said, I'm just going to get ahead of the curve. Hey, what the fuck, BP?
But like the best part is that the bit still, like, it's not just for the comedy. We legitimately get to situations where you put us any of your players into that place where we're like, what the fuck, man? Come on.
But you all love it, so I'll keep doing it.
And we keep coming back, so obviously it works.
Mm-hmm.
Also, since I can ask everybody questions, but I don't think it was actually discussed or even said at the end of all of this, where the fuck's the RV?
Piper has it.
Yeah, Piper has
it. Okay, cool. No, just wanted the information said.
Piper and or the boys. I mean, the reality is it's still being used by hunters. It's just being used by a slightly different group of hunters now.
Yep.
Okay, spin-off 4-episode series, Piper and the boys off Monster Hunting. I can imagine that.
Katie Lynn.
Piper, Katie Lynn, and the boys are off monster hunting.
Nice. Off hunting Bigfoot.
And there's definitely not a small project in the works for that.
No, of course not.
Definitely not.
Although Piper's direct involvement is contingent on Isobel not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, Isobel would be an incredibly scary Samitsi.
Dude, shut the fuck up.
She could be, yeah. She's a ways off from earning enough trust to be embraced, though.
That was valid.
She fucked up pretty royally just being entrusted with a couple of vials of blood where she promised that the only thing she'd use it was to study.
Mm-hmm.
And
listen, I know I promised I wouldn't drink it, but
I mean, here's the thing: is we all say Jace is an asshole vampire, but here's the reality: Isobel made him a promise about what that blood was going to get used for, and then did like the worst thing she could have done with it, which is like drink it.
I mean, she initially was,
and he didn't just kill her for breaking the rules.
True.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, it is 100% valid. Like, first time was a kind of a desperate moment of shit, I don't want to die in some random apartment. And then yes, the other 2 times, 100% her fault.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the second time it ended up being completely unnecessary.
Yep.
Well,
and no, it was completely unnecessary because it gave you something you didn't even use.
Mm-hmm.
I used it at the finale.
Yep, that was
You
after
did
you
use it in
already
the
drank
finale.
another vial.
Yeah.
Isabel's life choices.
Oh, don't start talking about life choices over there.
Listen,
that's exactly why I can talk about life choices.
This whole show has just been life choices and the consequences thereof for a bunch of hunters.
I mean, in the end, it also tied into Isabel's envy drive.
It absolutely did. Listen, I'm not saying 100%. You made the wrong choice as a player.
No.
I'm just saying we should maybe not be quite so harsh on Jace, because Jace had every right.
I'm absolutely not hard not hard on Jace. I'm like 100% valid. You
Jace has actually turned out to probably be the most reasonable person involved in this whole situation.
Exactly.
So.
Listen, all I'm saying is some of us learn from our mistakes, and some of us are Arthur.
And some of us get dead from our mistakes.
Right. On a scale of 1 to Arthur, Isabel was pretty close to Arthur. Just saying.
I mean, in the end, I think Isabel will, after she regains all of her mental faculties, will prove that she could be very useful as a ghoul.
Yeah, that's not what we want.
No,
you don't want to be useful as a ghoul, because that might just makes him more likely to hold on to you.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah, less likely to just decide a weekend.
So what's the over under on Isabel coming back?
Ooh.
Oh, it's not happening.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be forced.
Like I see very few futures in which Isabel ends up coming back without Jace dying, and even then.
Any actual question?
Yeah, I have a question for everybody at the table, including you, Grizz, if you would like.
Okay.
What was y'all's favorite supernatural type that I got to throw at you during all of this?
Well, I have my favorite.
I tried to use Wayfarer to introduce a bunch of different splats. Because mostly what we've heard about through HHS so far has been vampires and werewolves, and that's it. So there are only a couple I didn't introduce. Well, really, like 2. There's 2 I didn't introduce.
I do enjoy the Fae.
Changelings are fun.
Scott?
I gotta think about it, because I enjoyed quite a bit of it from every aspect of like the hunter perspective on these things. Every one of the things out there seemed unique and terrifying. I did like the different play on just the play on with the Fae. That was interesting to watch, and even to some extent, use it to redirect like Arthur's mindsets on things, right? Because it was so I guess I'm gonna have to go with that, but not because of it being a changeling, but because of the way that this particular one was introduced to a character who's like everything's black and white, good or bad, to be like, I don't know if this one is bad, which then makes me question all of my other perspectives. Because like with the werewolves, like sure, there was this thing with like Jesse being very friendly to then backstab them, and it's like from Arthur's mind, the werewolves still be bad, okay? But
okay,
and the idea of like wraiths and stuff being potentially like just trying to get through their situation and, you know, come out or whatever. That didn't really like, it didn't move him too much, but the Fae thing of like, it leaves behind this sort of beauty and stuff really did mess with the way, like, you saw in my journals, like Arthur being like, you know, I'm not so sure now, because my reference point for it is these scriptural things, and these scriptural things tell me that maybe it's not so bad, you know? So, yeah. I think it was more like not necessarily per se the individual creatures that you presented, but the way in which you presented them. I think that I liked quite a bit.
Yeah. I looked for reasons to bring in other Fae to show off more that they could do, because some of the stuff that Fae can do is just fucked. But like I couldn't really like reasonably in the story as I had mapped it out and in the time that I had, I didn't really have a reasonable way to bring in another Fae, so I just brought in like a thing that was created by studying what the Fae could do.
Mm-hmm.
And how fucked that was.
Mm-hmm.
Grizz, I'm assuming that your favorite was the werewolves because you got to play.
Listen, the moment I was sitting here on camera watching all of their faces when I was like, Jesse, I'm proud of you, boy. And everyone's like, the fuck does that mean? And we just wolfed the fuck out. Yeah. No, absolutely.
That was a very good moment.
Yeah. And I will say the Wraiths was because I wanted to see more about them, and I think they were cool. I thought that was really cool too. Everything he said about the Fae is also true. And also like it you used vampires kind of sparingly in a way, and I think that allowed them to be even more menacing in this. Because like they were still the thing like, oh, we can handle vampires. Like, wait, what the fuck is that vampire doing? We've never fucking seen that shit before. What the fuck is this? You don't know everything about the supernatural. You can be high and mighty, you might have handled a few things, like maybe even killed a few werewolves, but you don't know what the fuck they can do. And you always use the more special abilities sparingly, which allowed this still the constant threat of you don't know what to expect out in these fucking woods. It's not pretending. Like they always think they're in danger, but you know, you never truly know until you're up in something's face. Which is why I think the end of season 2 is so fucking important, because they almost very nearly died. Which was a wake-up call for all of them. But even as we went through season 3, it kept happening even more. Like, oh, do we even want this? Which I think is even more important to the story. Is like, do we actually want to fucking do this? It was most of season 3, which I thought was awesome and also extremely important. It went from 0 to 100 real quick in just a few episodes.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I have a very important question.
Huh.
All right. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, marry, kill.
Of who's in the chat right now?
You know
of the
what?
3 characters here, or
I'll
are we
allow
talking
it.
like supernatural splats? What's happening?
You know what?
Yeah.
I'll allow it. I'll just allow all of that. Go ahead. Yeah.
So then
Wait.
Big is fuck, marry, kill.
wait. Hang on. No, for real. Like, what am I answering the question in relation to?
I don't know. The cell? What is it? Termite, you got to set the terms.
please set the terms of this challenge that you laid out for me.
All right.
So,
all right. So I'm reeling it in as host for the main characters.
Yes.
There you go. Oh God, Termite, you're amazing. I was like, oh.
Fuck Isobel. Marry Piper, kill Arthur.
Damn.
Yeah, the tracks.
So my reasoning being Arthur was always going to die anyway, and I'm not getting like tied to somebody who's just going to leave me.
Ouch.
What?
I'm just kidding. What? You don't want to be Katie Lynn? Come on now.
No,
Here,
I
have
don't.
some water.
I kind of am Katie Lynn as the person who created that character. I'm still mad at you. Isobel only fuck because I don't want to take on her boys.
That's fair.
Plus, if it's just a one night thing, they might join in, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And
there's already
Piper,
2 of us. Why not? There's already 3 of us. Why not add one more?
And Piper had such a big perspective shift when the fight with her antagonist happened. In what she wants to devote her life to, like really wants to devote her life to once she's out of the game. That I think she's probably the safest and would probably be the most dedicated partner. So
yeah, that tracks.
Sorry, were you not expecting a really thought out answer?
We thought, nah, we just like maybe a joke or two, but whatever. No, like, well, we appreciate it. Yeah, it's good, I like it. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I did make a joke or two. Arthur was always gonna fucking die, and I don't want to fight the boys.
He is dead. That's true. Wait, counting for them being alive? No, that's not fair. Well, I guess. Any other questions? Moments you went, hey, wait a minute. I wish I could ask more about that, but I can't.
Actually, a little bit. Because I don't know for sure that the upcoming mini project will definitely involve Piper, because I don't know exactly how we're gonna. I haven't had time to sit down and like debrief Aubrey about Isobel's situation. So, Termite, for people at home who have been following the show, would you like to tell them what Piper's like new plan is once she's not hunting anymore?
Yeah. So once Piper is officially no longer gonna be hunting in the field, which will hopefully be soon, her plan is to when I at least started like thinking about it, I essentially referred to it as like a witness protection program of sorts for people that have had encounters with supernatural and potentially more importantly, at least to Piper, with hunters that have, come by and heavily traumatized people, considering that happens directly in front of her, and she feels really bad about it. And if she has the opportunity, it's potentially going to be something that she does for the Second Inquisition.
Yeah, that was the thing that Bishop Thomas was going to offer to Piper. Had things not gone sideways with Isobel. Piper and Isobel were both going to get job offers. Isobel would have had the opportunity to work as a doctor who, gives first aid and medical assistance to people who come in who are hurt. / continue her research. Maybe not in the same office as Allison. But that, and Piper, in the conversation with Piper, had Piper brought up like her dream / goal of what she wanted to do, she would have found out that the society has just that. They have an office that does what Piper wants to do, and she would have been brought in to be part of that team. Probably the part that like helps manufacture new identities for people.
And depending on how things go, that might still happen.
Yeah.
So we will see. All right, I have asked something very similar to this in prior seasons, but I'm going to ask again now that the whole thing is done. I would like each person's favorite moment from the show, all seasons at your offering.
God.
Damn.
I think we're all gonna need a second.
Yeah.
Grizz, what's your favorite moment?
Oh, that's fucking easy. It's the exact moment when everything got sat down and all the other characters were put off the screen, and it was just, in season 2, Katie, Lynn, and Arthur sitting down to talk for the first time in a long while.
It was a good scene.
It was. It was very much just like, here's some water, bud. You're gonna need it. Pat on the back and just like scurry out of the room and shut the door. Nah, it was a good scene, and had a lot of lead up behind it. So it was really, really good. And also the few scenes with Caitlin and Roseanne afterwards, and all the lead up, the meetup with Vincent and the werewolves, just like those chain of 3 episodes are just so fucking good.
For sure.
Yeah, I think that the meetup with Vincent might be one of my favorite moments, but you know, it is because I feel like it's such an interesting turning point for the cell as a whole.
Yeah. Other moments. Sorry, go ahead. Also, other moments. Piper meeting up with her now ex for the first time, and then the second time after that. Really good role play, really good scenes.
Termite just ripping my heart out and showing it to me.
You're welcome.
I know what I've done.
The scenes with Isobel and the boys being like, listen, you just the amount of like concern, but also understanding that Isobel is fully capable of making her own decisions, but also like you're making bad ones, but they're the ones you're making. Or there's a lot of heart behind those scenes too. Really good ones. Yo, this is so fucking good. Says, I don't know what you want me to say, BP. Damn.
My favorite scene actually happened this season, and I think it's one that most people would sleep on. It was the scene where Tav actually really talked for the first time.
That was a good one.
Where he just let he let like Arthur fucking have it. And everybody else, because everybody was bickering so much, and he was like, look, if y'all can't get your shit together and learn to act like a team, I'm bringing her home because y'all aren't doing her any good. And being the adult in the room while actually not physically being in the room was pretty funny. I just really like Tav, and Tav isn't a character who talks very much, so when he gets upset enough to actually talk and have a real like blunt conversation, he's going to be pretty hard on people. So that was my favorite scene.
That was a very good scene.
There was also the scene where it's like, BT dubs, I'm a god. And y'all will swallow it.
Yeah, that was good too. Fucking the incomparable overthinker in that role was just perfect.
I was trying to think of like my favorite scene, and I couldn't really lock into like a favorite specific scene, but there was a few things that I really quite enjoyed. There like there's the wedding in season 1. There was the constant running gag of like money slaves. Every scene that had Loki in it, essentially. I I mean, so like the season 2, like the scene that you mentioned with Katie Lynn and Arthur, that scene, I was so stressed for that scene that like the Arthur's word salad was actually mostly Scott word salad, but also made sense, right? Like it also tracked in character because I was like, damn. But yeah, and then like there was a lot of moments in season 3 where it was like super emotional and like interesting to watch, like when Piper's like confessing to Father Thomas that she just doesn't want to keep going anymore. And so like I don't like that was there's so many good scenes that I don't know I could say one particular scene that I liked a lot. There was just over the course of the 3 seasons so many that were really really fun. And even Jesse and his involvement in the story. I mean, I love that character. Like,
I think you mean
Arthur hated him.
especially Jesse and his involvement in the story, because Jesse was amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Arthur didn't trust him at all ever at any point, but I still loved Jesse as a character. Like Scott was all like, I love this guy. Oh, he's a werewolf. It's to be expected.
The signs were really all there.
They really were. Sure.
I did my best to spoil that for y'all. I did my damnedest, honestly. Like that was a dog treat. It was really good though. I'm sure it was, but I don't know.
I mean, just the bit where we called him and like, oh my gosh, Gary's like acting out
him crying over the phone.
Amen.
Oh my god.
Just him physically acting out the conversation, even though nobody at home could see him.
No, he wasn't on screen, but we were watching him act it out on our end. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was also very good. Listen, here's the thing. I get so overwhelmed trying to pick a favorite Loki scene that I just don't even take Loki scenes into account on what's going to be my favorite anymore.
Just all of them.
Right, because if I say, Loki scenes count, then I have to pick one, and I just can't. I didn't know exactly what OT was going to do with that character when he actually got him on screen, because like we talked about the character, and what his motivations were and all that stuff, but like I told OT, like, how he presents himself is entirely on you. Because I'd never had him, like, talk on screen before. He had been mentioned in passing in Arthur's, like, prequel, which is up on our Patreon. If anybody wants to watch it, please back us. Yeah, like he was mentioned there, but like he doesn't talk. He doesn't interact with the character. He's just this figure in the distance as Arthur kind of puts together that something terrible is happening and that he's been inadvertently like helping to create that terrible thing. Mm-hmm. And then, him and Zephyr and Jillian just running like hell, because they realize, things have gone terribly wrong, and if they're going to leave, they need to leave now. So finally getting to have him show up and be this just incredibly charming and clever character who just outright tells them, and before that happened, the look on Termite's face when it clicked for Termite who the speaker was.
Yeah.
Well, Termite looked at the camera and was like, "You bitch."
Yeah, because
without saying anything.
You and I had talked about it leading into Apotheosis. Like Loki's not here. And yeah, that was the point I realized, oh, that's why he's not here.
Yep. So the look on Termite's face when Termite put the pieces together, because that was something that I had I had mentioned in the first season of Apotheosis, and and whatnot. So I was waiting to see if anybody at home would get it. But I think Termite might have been the first person to put 2 and 2 together and go, oh, fuck. Like, he is a god. Shit.
Fuck.
I was gonna say I think it might be something to note too that like Sticker did a great job as Jillian in season 1.
He did.
Wonderful.
Sticker went hard with that role. Like, I didn't know how invested, because it was my first show that I was running. I didn't know how invested people would get. I didn't know like how much research and thought they'd put into things, and Sticker really set a really high bar for like all SPCs going forward. You know, for like characterization and whatnot, because Sticker like really thought out, okay, well, these are why I'm these are because I'm this type of wraith, and this is the lesson I'm trying to teach people, and you know, this is the retribution that I want. And I'm just like, oh my god, I love you.
Yeah, we had
I
great.
really just enjoyed the whole
SPCs.
wraith storyline, if I'm being honest with you. I thought that was really fun.
I mean, yeah, and then
Cowboy
becoming
Reapers.
a chair was just constant.
What chair? What?
Becoming a chair just became a constant.
Yeah. The Cowboy Reapers, I think, were my favorite part, though. Having a bunch of Reapers with fucking 6-shooters show up, and everybody's like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Any other?
But I mean,
hold up. I love listening to you guys talk. But are there any other moments or scenes that y'all want to bring up?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if
I lost about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
No, you're good.
You're good. The confrontation with Vincent, I do think is it's such a pivotal moment for the cell in general. Because also I think it was the first time they planned for anything.
Oh, that's true.
There was a plan going in other than question mark.
Plan is a big word for what
but if you look at any other thing that they had done before we got there.
Yes, compared to everything else that had gone down, there was a lot of planning that went in.
Yeah. Gestures vaguely at the wedding in season 1.
Hey, listen, we had a plan.
No, you had an idea.
Yeah, you had an idea. You did not.
There is a difference between a plan and an idea.
Listen, it was a plan. It just happened to be written on a napkin that we had used slightly beforehand and also after. That's the kind of plan it was.
Everything else in Wayfarer, it was just
not a napkin.
Fully fucked.
But actually, to add to the Vincent scene, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Aubrey, but to add to what you were saying, it was one of those moments where, it was like, okay, Arthur's going to step back and let the others plan. And when that happened, it went better than could be expected. You know?
That's fair.
Don't let Arthur plan. Moral of the story. Because you get the wedding if you do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, well, Isobel and Piper got a first-hand look at Arthur's plans in the first 4 or 5 episodes, and so when it came to this, they went, "No, we're going to actually make a plan." It's not as detailed as some of our later plans, but it's still a plan. So therefore, we already had a leg up on Arthur.
I mean, sure, it's better than, hey, let's abandon a body and follow Rosanna in the RV.
Yeah.
When we already have ways of keeping an eye on her. I cannot stress that enough.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was such a good one. And then the fact that it is I feel is a very important moment for Isobel, and I think probably for part of the cell of just okay, these things don't have to always devolve into violence.
What?
Almost.
That's crazy talk.
I mean, Briggs to drag a bitch out of the woods and be like, here, and throw it in front of Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
That did happen.
I think one of my favorites was us breaking into the other cursed girl's house.
Oh, I'm glad that you like that. I had a lot of fun with that.
And just seeing, so this is how bad things can get.
Yeah.
Especially being able to see everybody else's reaction. While Piper is still able to hear what they're saying, so she's just like, oh, okay, cool, good to know. But yeah, that whole scene was really good.
we were not nice.
No, you weren't.
Hell yeah.
I had a lot of fun with that. I think that there were things that didn't get seen in there because Arthur did an Arthur.
Yep.
And insisted that they try and kill the vampire that was harmless at the time. There were things that I had lined up that had you guys stuck around and kept looking a little bit more, and rolled a little bit better on some of your investigation scenes, rolls. There was all kinds of stuff that y'all could have found out. That might have stopped you from doing the stupid thing in the first place, but y'all went straight for the stupid thing, so there we are.
Listen, everyone left Arthur alone. Big mistake.
No, Rosanna was right there.
No, she left. She went back to the RV. Arthur was alone.
No, Rosanna came back before the vampire got woken up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I see your argument. Scott's like, no. She did come back, but that's the issue. She left and then came back.
Yeah, she left, leaving Arthur.
I see now. I'm slow just stepping in. Still though.
Still your
Remember,
fault.
I had to whip out a phone and call. I had to make a phone call because everyone abandoned Arthur in the apartment.
Still your fault. Still
All
your
the
bad
best
choice.
interactions with
Isobel
Arthur
has
start with,
no
I need to
fault
make a
in
call.
anything that happened there. She was nowhere near
That's
it.
true. That's true.
The
Isobel was
best
nowhere near it.
The best interactions with Arthur start with Arthur being left to his own devices.
Exactly. There's the problem. Don't do it. But they kept doing it.
Okay,
You
special.
shouldn't do it either, buddy.
Special one-shot episode, Arthur in Hell. That's all I want.
Arthur is in Stygia, not Hell.
Sorry.
I mean, if there's just the one-shot episode of Arthur anywhere, it's going to be him being like obstinate and antagonistic to whoever.
No, it's going to be him being a chair and sulky.
Yeah.
He's a chair in a diner, and that's how the episode starts.
Arthur is obstinate and bitchy and way down on the totem pole in terms of power in Stygia because he doesn't get to take his cool hunter stuff with him. So yeah, he'd get obstinate with the wrong person and they'd be like, yeah, this one gets to be a chair. Explicitly the seat of the chair. And we're going to sell the chair to the fattest asshole in Stygia.
Just an image of a chair sitting in a room, and it's like, hi, I bet you're wondering how I got here.
We know how you got there.
Yeah, we do.
We do actually know.
I bet you're wondering how I got there, and then everybody from the show chimes in with, no, we know how you got there.
We know
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know what you've done.
We know what you are.
I do have a question for BP because it's a thing that like I was like I'm gonna ask at the end of the season because I don't want it to color any decisions I made. But I guess it was in Isabel's little side thing. Like, what would you have done had I decided to fall into despair?
I think had you gone into despair, at the very least, you would have been caught. And with it, Nessa would have been
I was saying, in Isabel's side story at the beginning of the season where she was helping.
Sorry. There are multiple occasions where you've had the option to go into despair. You're going to have to be more specific.
I thought I was specific. I was not specific enough. It is Isabel's side story when she was doing
hit Danger 5.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh God,
What would have happened if I had gone into despair? Because Isobel was in the middle of doing the blood transfusion when that happened.
There's a pretty good chance that you would have been almost fully exsanguinated by the machine.
Mm.
And Jace would have gotten back just in time to realize that you were dying, and his options were to embrace you. At which point Isobel would not be a playable character anymore.
Yeah.
Or that he would just let you die.
Yeah.
We would have had two vampires to kill in
which
season
would have
3.
made him a little sad, but Isobel would have just dropped off the face of the earth for everybody. She would have just disappeared.
I was genuinely curious about what might have happened.
Yeah. I mean, there's a small chance it might have been something else, but I think it's been a hot minute. But I think that was the option, or the most likely outcome. But I was also pretty sure you weren't going to go into despair.
I wasn't. I wasn't. There was a little voice in the back of my head being like, "Go into despair, see what happens."
It would have ended poorly. That's what would have happened.
Only because
there was nobody else around to help you. You were literally in an apartment alone, so I was limited on my options to how to have that play out.
See what happens when you leave characters by themselves? Just saying.
But what's really funny is that had you either died or been embraced, the group's danger would have dropped pretty significantly, and none of them would have known why.
Would have been hilarious.
Isobel just wouldn't have shown back up, and things would have been weirdly much easier than they had been before.
I feel suddenly relaxed. Anyone else?
And Aubrey,
what do you mean the IRS isn't looking into me
would
anymore?
have gotten the opportunity to bring in another character for the rest of the season. I wouldn't have had much to do for that character.
I wouldn't have been able to do much, but it would have been interesting. Now.
It was either that or I thought about if somebody had died, the other option, if somebody had died before the last 3 episodes, the other option was whoever had played that character would have had the option to step out for the rest of the season, and I'd have I thought about contacting Jade to bring back her SPC from season 1.
Oh yeah.
But as a proper hunter, who had stepped into the life after you guys left. I have a really cool build in my head for that character, so yeah. I don't know. I don't know for sure. I know that I had plans, but it's been a hot minute, so I don't remember all of them, but I'm pretty sure those were the 2 big most likely ones.
All right, fam. Any last questions or moments you'd like to share that you want forever in Wisconsin that's after dawn?
Oh, go ahead.
No, you good.
Well, mine is kind of a side off thing, so I'll wait.
Oh, I was just gonna ask if there was any particular thing that either of the other 2 would have wanted to explore that we never actually did.
Oh, I have an answer for that.
Well, okay. I'll include you, BP.
I want to hear their stuff first, but okay. I have an answer for this question.
I honestly can't. I can't think of one.
I mean, I would have liked to have actually been go after the other cursed girl that we ran into, or that we had information on.
Mm-hmm. And then do what? Murder her?
Well, see how that plays out, right?
I mean, just see how it goes overall.
That's fair.
It probably would have ended with her dying, but
sure. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, okay. Well, those are answers. Okay, so we'll let BP answer.
I am to this day annoyed but unwilling to tell you what it was. I am annoyed that nobody bothered to try and look into why Piper was a black hole for magic.
Thank you. Sorry.
I will not tell anybody why. Because that merited its own fucking story. But yeah, no, to this day, I am frustrated that nobody bothered to do any research or tried to figure it out.
I can't believe Piper didn't even try to figure it out.
There were more important things to worry about.
Piper was just like, I don't know, magic people get weirded out around me. It seems cool. And then just like moved on with her life and didn't have any questions. And I was like, really?
I was going to say that as an aside for like one of the last things I say, but no, thank you. I appreciate that. Scratching that's off my list of last minute things to say. And then as an observer, every time like it came up, I'm like, that seems big. No?
Why do you think it got brought up so much? And I didn't just like hand wave it every time it came up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like something that Isobel was like, that's interesting, but Piper's never asked for my help on researching this, so I'm sure she's working on it. Because Isobel had her own things to worry about.
Piper did not have the skills necessary to do any research into that.
But Piper also didn't ask.
Well, yeah.
No. Piper didn't ask for a lot. It asked once about the book, and then Isobel went, well, I can't find much information, and then Piper went, cool.
Yeah, actually.
Fair. I mean, Arthur's perspective was great. A tool we can use. Awesome.
God damn it, Arthur.
Yeah,
keep Piper around the mages. Check.
That is very Arthur. It's like, oh, black hole of magic getting sucked into it. Neato. I don't like them anyway. Fuck them.
Yep.
You're uncomfortable? Good. Leave.
I also think it's fun that not necessarily a magic person. The Fae also would have been incredibly uncomfortable around Piper because she probably had a banality of at least 8 or 9.
Yeah, but Piper's banality score is pretty high.
Listen, it's fine.
I definitely don't have a face sheet for Piper.
Any other questions or concerns? I had to use
sounds
that.
Freaked out.
No, I had to use that voice. It was...
Is there anything else?
I love using that voice in this guy.
I can't think of anything. There's a lot that I'm like, what ifs, but I'm like, I got to figure out with BP about like what the fuck's gonna happen with Isobel.
That's fair. I don't have any more questions. I do have a couple of things I want to say in general, more declaratory statements. I said some of this in text the day after the session when all the big feels kind of finally rushed in and hit me because I was done like just trying to get through it. White knuckling through the last couple of episodes. Hunter was my first like real big project for HHS. It was my first flagship that I ran. It was it was my first labor of love for the studio. And it was also the first time I decided I was going to run a game live, let alone run a game that I'd never run before. I'd only read the book. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who participated in all 3 seasons, to the amazing list of SPCs, Grizz included, to my players who gave me these Greek tragedy characters that made me go, okay, this has to be like a real Hunter story. This isn't just a let's show up and kill the bad guys. This is let's explore the kind of broken, fucked up people that do this for a living. Or don't do it for a living if you ask Allison.
BP looked at our backstories and was like, I can hurt these people.
They're begging for it, really.
They're just handing me knives at this point.
Thank you for everybody who watched and showed up every week. For people who went and caught back up on the YouTube and the podcasts, if they weren't able to be there live. For the other members of staff who tolerated my crazy when I was overwhelmed and upset and just, flying by the seat of my pants, just desperately trying to keep everything together. This has been stupidly fun. I've had a blast. I have laughed at the things that characters do. I have cried at the things that the characters have done. And I have enjoyed putting pins in the voodoo dolls of their backstories, knowing that I will make them bleed later. I hope I get to run tables with all of you again. I hope I get to play at tables with some of you, because several of you I have never gotten to be a player with. So I'm very much looking forward to all of that. Thank you for being a part of my little show.
Editor, please make sure there's really sad music playing for the last 3 minutes.
Oh my fucking god.
No. Okay, canned applause, everyone clap. Clap, I say. Clap.
All right, well, thanks for making fun of my heartfelt moment.
No,
we're not.
It
was amazing. We're not making fun of anything. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me come in as a player. Essentially, I was a stranger. You know, very, very, like, you know.
Hey, you applied and you impressed me. That's mostly what it takes.
Thank you for tolerating all of my bullshit.
Hey, thank you for letting me beat you with a stick hard enough that you finally, gave up on the I'm gonna be a shady bitch routine and actually, opened up and cried some on screen.
And I mean, I already responded, but you know how I feel. Thank you for letting me be Arthur. Just the general, just because it was like I said several times on After Dawn, I had to think of how I would handle a situation and then do the exact opposite to be Arthur. And so I just appreciate you let me do all of that all of the time.
I love Arthur. He's such a great character. He's an asshole who I would never be friends with in real life, but as a character, he's fantastic. He was my foundation for the whole story. Nothing would have worked if he wasn't there to remind everybody else that no, we're supposed to kill the bad things, not make friends with them.
We're having coffee with the mage yet again.
Not that it always worked, but it was enough to balance everybody else's crazy out. So I dug it.
And then we also had to be there to balance out fucking crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. It's how it had to work.
All right, y'all. This has been an amazing After Dawn. Thank the 4 of you for being here. Thank the 4 of you for putting on such amazing characters, amazing stories, wonderful endings. I laughed too. I almost cried a few times. I think I pointed to laugh more than I cried, but that's fine. This is an amazing story, and I'm really happy I was able to be here for it. And I'm sure everyone else who is listening and watched and caught the podcast and the YouTube and watched it live feels the exact same way. Thank you all. And thank you all for listening to this episode of After Dawn. These episodes are dropped on Thursdays at noon for our $5 and above tier, and they are released to the public 1 month later. Think about subscribing so you can keep up to date with your talk show news for Halliday Studios. And this coming Friday, we have our premiere of season 2 of The Witcher Bed of Roses, run by our good friend Solomon, and we are all very excited for that. But one last goodbye, everybody, from the Wayfarer crew, if you don't mind.
Bye.
Bye. Make sure you follow the next season of After Dawn. Bookkeeper and Abomination Latte will be hosting. Because Grizz is playing.
Oh, hey. Well, come on, man. I miss this crowd, man. I miss this coffee, man. All right. Hot to feed. He's crying.
Bye.